The speed at which you're able to ride long climbs is almost solely related to your functional threshold power, and that is defined as the maximum effort you can sustain for 60 minutes.
And that effort that you're making over long climbs will be almost purely aerobic. So the best way to get faster is simply to increase your FTP. Now, if you want to find out what your current FTP is, you can do so using a test, which we did in a previous video, the link to which you can find in the description below this one. But the great thing is that you don't need a power meter to make visible improvements.
So here's 3 sessions that anybody can try to help improve your climbing on the long ones.
Now, the first session is a classic when it comes to increasing your functional threshold power, and actually it's pretty simple. It just involves doing 2 20-minute efforts. Now, to be really specific, you want to try and do it on a long climb, but let's face it, most of us don't have that luxury. So alternatively, just try and find a nice, quiet, flattish piece of road which will allow you to do those 20 minutes with minimal disruption. It is a session which you can do on an indoor trainer, but bear in mind that if you're going by power, that most people can't quite sustain the same amount of power indoors as they can out on the road. And in terms of actually doing it, well, we want to warm up for a good 20 minutes, then do some very easy riding, then get on with the first interval. If you're going by power output, well, then you want to be sustaining around about your functional threshold power or just below for the duration. If you're going by heart rate, well, then you should be averaging your threshold heart rate over the last 10 minutes or so of each interval, but bear in mind there is a lag time. Just use the first 5 to 6 minutes to allow your heart rate to come up to that level. If you're just going on plain old feel, well, then the first 5 or 6 minutes should feel reasonably comfortable, quite hard. Then over the last few minutes of the first interval, should be getting up to like a 9 out of 10 effort. And the last couple of minutes of the last interval, almost a 10 out of 10 effort. Now, between each 20-minute effort, you want to have 5 minutes of very easy riding. It's important that you keep that quite short. That way, you'll be making sure that you stress the correct physiological system.
If you want something slightly different, or you're a little bit pushed for time, then try doing shorter intervals at just above your threshold power. So, to do the session, warm up steadily for 15 to 20 minutes, and then we're going to do 3 lots of 8 minutes at or just above our threshold. So for me, that currently equates to about 350 watts. And on feel, the first 2 to 3 minutes should feel relatively controlled. But by the end of the effort, I'm going really hard, but I'm not maxed out. Having said that, at the end of the 3rd interval, I am going to be pretty close to max because this is a hard session. Now, because this can be done in only an hour or so, you could probably get a couple of these in your weekly training, but do some other riding around it, probably with lower intensities. And if you want to replicate the feeling of climbing, but you're stuck on the flat, then remember to do the intervals on the hoods and choose a cadence that's ever so slightly lower than it would be for normal flat riding.
Now, many of you will have heard of the term sweet spot being bandied around over the last few years. Well, that basically is the zone just below threshold where you get the most bang for your buck in terms of training efficiency. Now, the best way to go around this session is to have a first 15 to 20 minute warm up, and then essentially it's a 1 hour interval. But don't be put off by that. Basically, you need to ride at around 85 to 93% of your threshold. And for me, that's around 270 to 300 watts. Now, to break up the boredom, because it can be quite hard, every 6 minutes or so, try and do a short acceleration, either in or out of the saddle. And that will help break up the monotony of the session and add a little bit of extra stimulation. So, training for longer climbs, 20-minute threshold sessions, 8-minute above threshold sessions, and longer sweet spot sessions.
For more training videos, just click on that.
And for
For more training videos.
You poked me in the face.